So just a few words about the Transition Manager Academy program and the audience as well. I'm not going to read the slide, just summarize it. So we are inviting here not only the leaders, but also prospective leaders. So anyone, to be honest, involved in the transition and transformation projects or programs. You can be a team member as well. So if you are a team member and you would like to learn more about transition transformation and how to lead it, or how to participate it, how to help others to move through this very important, very strategic, very often programs or projects. So you're welcome. We are in the times of agility, of team organization, of the servant leadership, cooperative organization, collaborative organization, where everyone can be a leader. So we call it like the emergence leadership, rotative leadership as well, or empathetic leadership. From PMI, I've just learned a new phrase, or collaborative leadership. So anyone who would like to gain the understanding of such programs and projects, and also help the organization to move through these transformation and transition projects. And also people from shared services and business process outsourcing sector. The objective of the program is mainly to understand the theory, but mainly the practice of leadership, to be able to deliver sustained value of changes. And also we focus a bit on technical project management, so you will learn, you will get familiar with tools and techniques, but mainly it's about ourselves. It's about who we are as human beings, as leaders, and about our beliefs and values. That's the program structure, and it's divided into 6 parts. So a bit of strategic management, because this program is focused on PMI talent triangle, and there are 3 areas of the triangle. So that's strategic management, leadership, and technical project management. And we start from managing organization transition. So it's focused on the strategies, how to run a transition, and transition is a psychological change in people's mind. So how to help people to move within a change. Psychologically, not only deliver the goals, but also to change the minds. And transition program leadership. So the first module is run by myself and Mike Rawlings, and the leadership module is run by Mike. Then we've got the second part, it's technical project management, and it's run by Przemek, Agnieszka, Michał, and myself. So it's mainly processes, tools, and techniques in practice, and also agile project management run by Michał Rączka. And then the third one, it's working with others. So we've got 2 modules, communication and team management, and run by Mike as well, and virtual and multicultural team management delivered by Hania Buze, and she's not available today. And this module for sure will be run virtually. That's our decision, because if you want to learn how to run a virtual and multicultural team, it's good to do it virtually. And the fourth part, enabling solution and creativity, we focus a lot on creativity, on boosting creativity, so facilitation skills and the visual thinking and creative problem solving. Facilitation skills at today's course with cameras, with recording, and probably it might be virtually as well, because nowadays, especially nowadays, we learn how to facilitate meetings virtually. That's a challenge for many of us. So it might be virtual, although it might be traditional classroom session as well. And then we use cameras and we record our session. So it's very practical. Visual thinking, so it's mainly focusing on learning how to sketch note with Ania Szczepkowska, and creative problem solving. We will teach you trees. So that will be with Jerzy. And developing and influencing, so it's mentoring and coaching with Mike again, and negotiation for project success with Agnieszka Przemek. And there will be final project consultation. Everyone is writing because we work a lot in groups, in teams during our sessions. But in the end, we've got a final project. This is an individual project. And this is our team. You can find all the lectures on the website. And the most important question, why Transition Manager Academy is the best choice? What is different to other courses? There are a lot of project management courses. And as we say, our slogan, we put people at the heart of project management. So we focus a lot on leadership, because according to the surveys run by PMI and other bodies, PMI, Project Management Institute, leadership skills are crucial for managing the complex projects and programs, and complexity is growing. So it's based on PMI Talent Triangle, and it's the only program, project management program, based on PMI Talent Triangle. In Poland, for sure, I don't know how it's in the world, but I haven't met any similar program. So one of the participants summarized it, that he joined the program to open the door. He wanted to change a job, but the program opened his eyes. He changed himself, and the team changed a lot. As I mentioned before, we will guide you through an exploration of what to be a leader of others for the transitional transformation and changes. So that will be about skills, capabilities, values and beliefs, and a lot of curiosity we teach to open. So it's okay not to know. That's our another slogan. Be curious. That's what Mike repeats every time, and I learn as well through this program. So to be prepared, because there will be more volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in our world. We call it VUCA world. So we cannot predict it, but we can prepare for this. And this is about curiosity. I already covered it. So it's okay not to know. We can ask questions. You can be curious. We can find out from people. People will let us know. And we are ready to run the whole program virtually. The last edition was run virtually, and people were really happy. Hopefully we can meet, probably at least for first session, and we will see what happens for the next sessions. But we are ready to run in virtually. And a few more recommendations. People say that it's the program not only helped them to become a better leader or manager, but also a better husband, better wife, or human. And we are, AgilePMO is authorized training partner. And we, for the whole program, there are some people I've already had a chat here on Zoom, have PMP, so we will issue the certification, so you can gain 132 personal development units. And we've got partners as well. It's Association for Business Service Leaders and Pro Progression. And that's it from me. Okay, so any questions? Oh yeah, I forgot to ask, you can paste questions on Facebook, and also people on Zoom, you could paste questions here on Zoom. So let's start the debate. Who would like to join the debate? Just switch the camera on. That means I will know you are taking part in the debate. Of course, you can take part asking questions, pasting questions on Zoom in the chat, and also you can add comments. You don't need only to ask, but you can answer questions and add any comments. So share your thoughts on the post-COVID reality, what you have learned. We can start from the questions, what you have learned and what you need to give up, maybe.
Kasias, I think the best thing we can do is we can start this process off, and I think what we'll do, if we ask interesting enough questions and if we excite people with our questions, then we will get people contributing to the debate.
Okay.
So those of you who have not yet put your cameras on, that's fine. Let me get things going. But this is only going to work if we get everyone making a contribution. This is not the next. How long have we got for this, Gosha? How long have you scheduled for this?
How long? Okay, that's a good question. We have scheduled for 2 hours together, so we've got time.
Okay, yeah, that's a long time. Okay, if nobody has any questions. One of the things I do, I'm a coach, and one of the things I do from time to time as a coach is ask a question and then I sit silent and let something happen. I'm very good at silence, and I've never yet tried doing 2 hours of silence, but I'm willing to give it a go if nobody wants to come and ask a question. Is it worth me just kind of introducing the subject then, Gosha, and explaining why we're asking this question?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Mark.
Okay. So, as Kasias says, my name is Mike Rawlins. I'm speaking to you from Hampshire in England, where it's not bad. It's sunny-ish. It's quite warm. And my subjects on Transition Manager Academy, as Kasias says, I look at leadership, I look at communication and team building, and I look at the leader as coach. Now, people like Gurkan who've experienced the teaching at Transition Manager Academy will know that we offer information, we ask a lot of questions, and if students ask questions, what usually happens is we just ask a better question back. So you have to do a lot of thinking for yourself, and this is partly what this session is about. First of all, I'd like to apologise because I have a feeling that in some small way this whole 18 months of pandemic and global disruption might actually be down to me. Now, you may be wondering why I'm saying that. December of 2019 I was getting ready to do the leadership module for cohort 3 at the time, and I wanted a case study. We use case studies quite a lot because we like to try and ground our teaching in reality. And I didn't have a case study, so I decided I was going to write one myself. And the idea I came up with was 3 very wealthy business leaders who've been a success and now have time on their hands and who've decided they're going to solve the world's problems. One of the models we use in Transition Manager Academy is a model used by a guy called Eddie Obeng, and it's a way of thinking about how you set up programs in a world of uncertainty. And it basically looks at two things. How well do you know what you want to do, and how well do you know how to do it? Out of which you get 4 different ways of running programs. And so I decided to use this as a case study. And one of the things you need to look at is the situation, which is sometimes the case in transition programs, where we know we want to do something, but we don't quite know what, and we don't quite know how to do it. And the problem we have is that our leaders like to act as if we know what we want to do and we know how to do it. So for us working in transition programs, our skill is helping people to understand that uncertainty exists, but that you can manage within it. And the idea I came up with was these rich business people were meeting, and they've decided they're going to change the world. They're going to change the world so that things like climate change and all other challenges we face become solved, because people start focusing on others more than themselves. The business was a social media company, one that dominates the world and has changed our behaviours already. If you can believe such a thing exists, then you can imagine what that's like. And one of the leaders says, I kind of know I want to make the world better, but I don't know what that means, and I don't care what it means. I'm just going to start something. I'm going to start something that will change the world radically, and people will be forced to change, and then we'll see what happens. So I wrote that in December and presented it in December and January 2020. And in February, March 2020, the world changed. And it changed in a way I could never have imagined. A major thing came along which just caused everything that we knew about the world and how it runs to go away. And we had to find new ways of being. And I thought to myself, oh goodness, what have I done? Because, what I had in mind was a major societal change. I had no idea that it would come along so quickly. So I apologise for perhaps creating the pandemic in some small way. But I'm an optimist, okay? And I always look for the good things. So what's happened in the pandemic, of course, is that we've learned very quickly that things we take for granted and things we believe have to be, don't have to be. We don't have to go into work every day. We can work remotely. We don't have to fly around the world. We can. All of the things that happened that we had to let go of are possible, and we very quickly adapted. Different countries adapted in different ways and at different paces, and that gives us an opportunity to look at places like New Zealand, who seem to have done very well, and compare it with places like United States of America, who have had different problems, and compare their leadership style. So for us, people who are interested in transition, this last 18 months has been a wonderful laboratory. So my questions for you are both personal and wider than that as well. So you've all come through this process. You've all had personal change to go through. The companies you work for have all had to go through this. The countries we live in and the cultures we live in have gone through this. So I'm looking for us to share our experiences. And I use the model of a phoenix. The phoenix is the mythical bird that consumes itself in flames, and then from the ashes, a new phoenix arises. So if from the ashes of whatever went before that we've let go of, what's going to arise? What's society and culture? What's the workplace going to be like? What projects should we be putting in place? What are we doing now? How do we build on the things we've learned? How do we make sure that those things we've let go of stay gone? Or do we want them to come back? I've got so many questions, so I'm throwing it out to you now. So I guess the first question is, for anyone on here, what was it like for you in that first phase? There's a model. We use lots of models in Transition Manager Academy. One of them is, and I forgot what it's called now, it's the Bridges model, which Goku will take us through. And this talks about change coming in 3 phases. First, you have to let go. Then you have to go into kind of a neutral zone where you find out what's going to come through next. And once you've got, you deal with your grief at letting go, you deal with the issues of transitioning, and then you can go into a new beginning. Something new can emerge. So let's think about the last 18 months in 3 phases. So for anyone on here, What was that first phase, the letting go, like? What was it you had to let go of? How did you feel? How did it affect you in work? How did it affect you in life? How did you rise to the challenge? And what lessons do you think you've learned from that? So who would like to offer up their experience? And I'm looking at, because Gurkan's made the mistake of having his camera on. Perhaps Gurkan, you'd like to start, and then
you haven't changed one bit, Mike. You always
I
ask me
haven't. No.
questions. It's first of all, it's great to see everyone. I came here to say hi, but it's so interesting that I have to stay. So to answer your question, when you told me about that, once again, because it's not over. That's the thing.
No.
That's that thing we're talking about is not over yet, and we're still trying to adapt what's going on. And the first thing I realized that of course you have to put aside all the social factors that you had in the workplace. Let's speak about the work environment factors. Whenever you had a question, you could just go to the person, like personally, face to face, and ask. And then you have to right now learn how to approach someone virtually, right? From the internet, or from Zoom or whatever chat system or communicator that the company is using. But apart from that, I also realized that people, like in the first phase, that people were not that much resistant. They were quite happy of the luxury of working from home, the luxury of your home space to be your office. But then right now, I believe it's the middle phase that everyone realizes that this is I work more than I used to work in the office, right? Because you don't have any excuse. Then you have to turn on the computer, or basically the computer is all the time on, and you have to click something or send an email. There is something. So maybe this the final outcome of that, at least for me, will be more in the work-life balance topic. So this is the thing that when you were describing the situation, and thanks for the pandemic, Mike, by the way, when you were describing the situation, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Yes, working from home is great. Of course, trying to approach people virtually is a different challenge than speaking face to face, one to one. But I think work-life balance is one of the things, because I see in many people's faces as well that they're working considerably a lot more than they used to do in the office workspace, the physical workspace that they had initially before the pandemics.
So is it true to say, Gurkan, that for some aspects of your work and your life, letting go of what had gone before was actually quite quick and quite easy? That transition to working from home?
I wouldn't say yes. It is not, because you build a routine by going to work. Whether it be taking a public transport, or starting up the engine of your car. That's some physical activity versus getting up and turning on the computer, right? And during the way to work, you do a lot of different things, and then you are kind of forced to do those. Like it could be grabbing a coffee on your way, but you have to prepare your own coffee here, because you cannot do it the other way around, right? Saying hi to the receptionist that you always wanted to say hi, like someone who welcomes you to the office with a smile. You just don't have as long as you're not living with your family or immediate family members, you don't have anyone to speak to. Like this is the work environment, at least. So yeah, that's hard to let go, but you are somehow forced to it, and it doesn't happen overnight. You have to go through the magical work there is. That is the transition, the personal readiness to this big change.
So I won't ask you now, because I'll try and bring somebody else into the conversation. But when asking these questions, and when we're sharing our experiences, the bigger question that's at the back of my mind is, what's the learning for us as transition managers about? We're experiencing a massive change ourselves, so it's an opportunity for us to reflect and learn, and to bring that learning to what we do in the future, to hopefully manage better transition programs. So be thinking about throughout this, when I come back at the end and ask, okay, well, so what? What are the lessons that you've learned that you're going to take into your work that will hopefully help you to deal with change better than we've done before? Okay. Anyone else got some experiences to share?
Yeah, I would like to share some of my days that were in a history, and now they are like my new way of living and working. First of all, hi to all of you. Some of you I met only on LinkedIn. Hello. Gosia, I met personally. Mike, I'm not sure whether to thank you or not for COVID and for staying at home.
Yeah.
Well, in the long term, I would like to say thank you, because this time learned me a lot. And as Gürkan said, that the staying at home was one part, and it was nice for us to work closer to our families. But in a second, in another other side, it was like I noticed that other people that I used to work with, they have families, they have private lives, and that was so. It was astonishing. Like, wow, that he has family and there are children running around him, and he still does his job, and he's really good at his job. So that was very surprising and nice that we focused on ourselves like people. So it is a very important part for the leadership, because we perceived ourselves as people, and we started to seeing ourselves as people with families, with emotions, and when we were feeling bad, and when we were feeling anxious about what is going on with this COVID thing, we all talked about it. So there was no time for being a hero. When someone said, "I'm not okay with that," there were people that tried to support each other. So that was a very nice thing for me. I really did like it. And for me personally, the first phase, as you were asking the previous questions, I was like, oh no, I cannot go anywhere. I have to stay at home. But then the beauty of internet showed to me, and I could join the meetings from all over the world. So I've been to this group from Holland, and I started drawing. So it was incredible. I never met people from Holland, and I was never drawing. So we were like having meetings each week, and like a daily task to draw something, and we were exchanging our well, I won't say that there were pieces of art, but like drawings. Yes, and when I was showing to my friends, yeah, you know, I'm drawing, and they said, oh, your daughter did it? And I said, no, it was me, I did it. Well, they didn't they didn't share my enthusiasm, but I was happy about it. And the thing that happened with us, we could meet people from all over the world with the same thing that we have in common, staying at home, working from home. And this is the part I really liked. And while working at home, there's this issue as for first that Nukan mentioned, we work more, but in another way, we are more focused. So when we want to approach someone with a question, with an issue, we need to prepare what we want from this person. There are no like coincidental meetings while doing coffee. That's the hard part. So I'm grateful that I can go to office twice a week and I meet people. There are just few of them, but the doing coffee while I'm at office takes so much longer than anywhere at home. But this is what happens now. And then I go back home and I do all the job that I should have been doing at office, but I didn't have time because I was doing coffee so long.
Thank you for sharing. And again, the question for you as we go through is, what do you learn that you can bring into your work? So when we're faced with big transition programs in the future, what learnings can you take? One I will take, and I will share now. I mean, if you could imagine let's say two things I want to say. 2 years ago, if somebody had come to any of us on this call and said, I want to make you the program manager, I've got this new I'm the CEO, I've got a new program, we're a large global company, offices in many countries, and what I want to do, I want to change the way we work. I want to change the way we work so that 90% of our workforce never comes into the office. And I want us still to carry on working. I still want us to carry on serving our customers. I want us to still innovate. I want us to be the company that people go to. But I want to have 90% of our global workforce working from home. And I want you to do it in, let's say, 12 weeks. Okay, you know, what response, Shemek, what response would you have given if you were given that task? What response would you have given to, you know, the fact, is it possible or what?
Are you crazy?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to ask, because I was fortunate enough to work in the companies that actually either did it or considered it in majority of cases. And I was able to work from wherever I wanted almost all of my life. So,
okay.
But I understand your question and presupposition there. So I can imagine quite a lot of CEOs would say, not a chance.
Yeah, not a chance. And yet we did it. And we did it because we had to. The challenge was big enough. The burning platform, you know, the platform for change that Kotter talks about in the Kotter's change process, you know, build a burning platform for change. Well, it was there. And so we had no choice. And so, you know, the question I ask is, you know, when we go into other programs, what assumptions do we make that constrain us from doing wonderful things quickly? You know, what is it that, you know, what do we know? And I use the word advisedly. What is it that we know about the world that stops us from doing these wonderful things all of the time without having to have a pandemic? That's question one. And I've forgotten what question two was now. I'll come back to it another time. Anyone got any other experiences to oh, no, I remember the other point. Yes, the point you made, Agnieszka, about we see people as people. We see them with their families. We see their kids. We see their dogs. You'll probably hear my dog at some point. He usually barks halfway through a call. And you know, some workplaces we're lucky. Some workplaces think of people as people and bring the whole person into the office. But in some places, you are kind of an efficient resource unit. How wonderful is it to start having this culture where we start to see everyone as individuals and treat people as people within the workplace? Okay, anyone else got any experiences to share, or are there any questions coming in from Facebook or anywhere, Gosha?
I don't know on Facebook, Kasia, but on Zoom, please do add questions. I just put the Eddie Oben's model. Maybe I can share my experience, because this is what I've learned, that everything is in our heads, in our minds. All the roadblocks, constraints, assumption we put, yeah. So for me, for example, I love conferences. I love meeting people. So that was my life, going, I don't know how many a year, but at least 2-3 a month. Yeah. So for me, that was something I couldn't imagine the world without meeting people, without huge gathering. Even I remember my first online presentation during the conference. I was dreaming and I was preparing, and I was on a huge stage. I was with my microphone, and I woke up and I said, oh, it's virtual. It won't be like 300, 500 people, the stage and the microphone. Yeah? So for me, and I'm really extroverted. And some people say it's for introverts, it's better working from home, but for extroverts, it's not possible. It is possible. So it's our belief. Yeah, Mike, that's your what I've learned from since I met you. The question you always ask, is it the fact or just your belief? Yeah. And what I repeat. So it's and I met Eddie Oben. I've never met. We teach this model, and I met this guy, and I posted actually. on Zoom, you've got the link to his profile on LinkedIn, because he is really, I love this guy. The ideas he's got about working virtually, if you watch his presentation from 2015, it's like now, yeah. So he prepared for virtuality a long time ago, and he shared this experience with us. So it's in our minds, yeah. If we believe we can make relationships, I've never ever in my life made such deep relationships with people like through these 18 months.
Okay, so that becomes possible. And it's interesting what you say about Eddie preparing for virtuality 2015, so 6 years ago. I was going to say, anything is possible, but actually circumstances matter. So you can imagine timing. If this had happened certainly 10 years ago, possibly even 5 years ago, the fact that it happened at a time when we just got the capability for global meetings, in the whole technology, we've got Zoom and Teams and all those things, they weren't there 2 or 3 years ago. So we got quite lucky on the timing in some way. Now, I believe we would still have found ways, but it would have been a little bit harder. So you have to have a bit of luck. Okay.
But don't you think they appeared because they were there? I remember I was working virtually many years, like 20 years probably.
Yeah, perhaps.
So I don't know if you've noticed, I used to use Zoom, for example, before COVID, but then so many applications even the local application appeared. So I think that's the situation. We wanted to resolve it. So if it happened 5 years ago, I think people would resolve the situation and then would appear much earlier.
I think you're right. Yeah. So, unfortunately, all of us who work in transition programs now have a difficult job going forward, because when we're in work and our chief exec comes to us and hands us a big, complex, difficult transition program, and we start to explain to them just how difficult and complex it is and why it's going to take a long time and why it's going to be hard to do, they can just turn around and say, well, don't give me that. We've just seen, what the world is capable of if the world has the willpower. Okay, nothing is too big and nothing is too complex. So how are we going to react to that? Okay, how are we in our work circumstances when it's not pandemic driven, but it's driven by profitability, or it's driven by customer service, or whatever it is? How are we as transition leaders going to create that sense of urgency to get the same response that we got from the pandemic? What could you see yourself doing? Anyone on the call, how would you see yourself persuading people? What kind of things would you be thinking and doing in order to create that sense of urgency? And I will pick someone if nobody speaks.
So I will start. Just be yourself. Just model people, because people do not learn from speaking. People learn from observing other people. So if you are a leader,
okay,
just actually do it. If you want people to follow you, do it.
Okay.
Show people it's possible, and you do it.
Let me challenge you though. Let me challenge you, Goku, because you've been yourself for a long time, pretty much all your life, I would imagine. So what's different? What's changed? We have shown as a world that anything is possible. Anything can be done. One of the case studies we refer to on the Transition Manager Academy that I think comes closest on a smaller scale to the pandemic is we look at the case study of the Chilean mine rescue. So this is one from 10 or 11 years ago, when a number of miners in Chile were trapped underground. Nobody knew where they were. Nobody knew how to rescue them. And it was a very long process of, first of all, finding out were they still alive, and then working out ways to rescue them. It's a fascinating case study. And that's the nearest one I can think of. And one of the things that comes from the leadership there is the wonderful leader they had of the program. He did two things. He was able to create a team that could be absolutely focused on efficient delivery, and at the same time be absolutely focused on creativity and free thinking. Now, you might think that the characteristics and skills that enable someone to be a free thinker and the characteristics and skills that make somebody somebody who pays attention to detail and delivery are two different things. He was able to embody both of those things, and he was able to create a team that could do both at the same time. So have a bit think to yourself, what is it about yourself that you have learned from the pandemic that you will bring to the way in which you motivate and excite people to deliver change? Mateusz, I see you're there. Would you like to share some of your thoughts with us?
Mateusz.
Possibly not.
Mateusz, are you with us?
Okay, don't worry. Anyone else on here who would like to offer up some thoughts? Because I'll tell you now, I'm not speaking for 2 hours. How about Rafael?
Rafał, would you like to share your experience? You are on mute. Oh, good.
Hi there. It's really interesting, to hear from you and to learn your experiences. Perhaps I will contribute a bit later because I'm now kind of not ready yet, perhaps.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What would have to happen for you to be ready?
Honestly, I went a bit off and did not focus on your question. So
okay, I can always repeat the question. I can always repeat the question.
You can go ahead.
Yeah. So let me rephrase it. So we've seen that what I've said is we have no excuses now as people working in transition programs. We can never say to our sponsors, this is too hard, this is too difficult, because they can just turn around and say, look what the world just did. Okay, don't tell me it's too difficult, just go away and do it. So the world did it because the motivation was there, the leadership was there, the need was there, and they were able to bring together skills and capabilities and energy in order to create solutions to the problems we faced. Okay, so how are you going to do that? How could you do it? What is it about you, Rafael, that makes as a person that you think you could draw upon when you're faced with your next transition program to create that same sense of urgency? Have you learned anything from watching others?
Well, I think I have learned quite a lot, and I think I have learned quite a lot of about myself as well. First of all, your first question was about what did you let go? So in my case, perhaps I will come back to the first question first.
No, that's good. Please do. Please do. Yeah, please do.
So actually, in my case, in my job, I had a lot of traveling, and I felt like in a constant rush, that I was in a rush, couldn't actually focus on sometimes on what's actually important to do, what's important, what's really important for my team members as well. So what I did first, I kind of stopped. I reflected. I was actually pretty restless. I felt a lot of anxiety. I was pretty much stressed out because everything, changed suddenly. At the end of the day, it worked really good for me. because I now feel that I have much more time to do my job, because everything can work easily, as almost all the meetings are run now on the internet, or either Zoom or whatever, WebEx, and so on and so on. So it seems that I can meet up, even 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes a couple of times a day. So all those meetings are no longer actually complication. So you need to meet up to discuss, to solve an issue. You just throw an invitation link and go ahead. So what worked for me, I felt I gained a time to think about me, about my goals for the future, perhaps and actually I felt that I'm back in my life and my family. So this is really positive. Concerning the challenges, I think that everything's possible, and there's a lot in our minds, and it's pretty much about ourselves and perhaps others, because you always need others, and this is other factor. I felt also a lot of anxiety as a leader, because I felt I'm even more lonely than I used to be, So sitting here in my home office at the kitchen table, I felt like I'm alone, and it was really difficult to me to switch onto this new reality. Now I feel that I have a serious support in my team members, even though I don't have them like on the reach of my hand. And I put even more trust to them, and I think that they also feel that I trust them. This is the most important to me. So what I learned, don't worry so much. Rely on your strengths, on your capabilities, and rely on your backups, on your team members. Everything is possible. All constraints probably are in our heads.
Yeah. Can I thank you? You've actually just done pretty much the entire TMA course for us in 5 minutes. But everything you say, one thing I loved what you said there, one of the first things you said was that you took time to reflect. And that ability as a leader to take time, and in doing that, to give others permission to take time to reflect and think and learn, is a really important characteristic, and one that we try and encourage you to think about when you come along to TMA. And that belief that you held that actually anything is possible, and that you and your colleagues and your friends are capable of doing that belief is really important as well. And the role you have in embodying that belief as a leader is really important. One other thing I want you to notice, and you'll get, anyone who comes along to TMA will get this a lot, okay? We're going to ask awkward questions sometimes, and you're going to think, I don't know the answer to this, and we're not going to help you. And the reason we're not going to help you is not because we like watching you squirm, it's because we know that you really do know the answers. You just don't know that you know the answers. And our job is not to teach you things. Well, there is some teaching. We do share facts and tools and techniques. But the thing we principally do is we just stand there and we ask you questions, and we don't let you off the hook until you realise how much you do know and how powerful you are, and you find a way to tap into that. It happened a little bit there, and it happens a lot when we come along to TMA. Anything else that you wanted to share with us, or is that enough for now?
you know, it was really a positive experience. So I'm really happy it happened. I mean, even though this was tragic, a lot of people must have died. And this is a real catastrophe. But at the same time, I think it helped a lot of people to just, you know, build something new. And to gain some strength. And for me, the last point I wanted to, you know, to just touch upon was that as I saw that I have more time, there was even that much time that I could have spent on learning some completely new things. I know I got some interest in carpentry, so I developed a spare time to, you know, to learn some skills through the internet. I started, you know, to even do something on my own at my house. I had to, you know, do something with the time. So as I told you, I was restless. So at the time, I think the time I gained time, and I gained time to me, for my family, for my self-development, but not only, you know, concerning the job I'm doing at my workplace, but also.
And that time was always there. It took this to happen for you to realise that, and that's something, another lesson. You know, partly what we do in help people making the transition, because basically when we do change programs, when we do transition programs, we want people to change their habits, to change their beliefs. Otherwise, why are we doing this? And sometimes we just have to help them understand that it's been there all the time, and help them to make that transition. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for this opportunity.
No, it's good. And it's okay, by the way, because like you, I think there's a lot of good come from this. It's been a tragedy. Lots of people have died, unfortunately. Actually, more people have died than should have died, because there was some, in a number of countries, my own, you know, included, there was some staggeringly bad management, if you like, by governments and things like that. People, and it's never easy to make decisions, but there were times when people clearly made decisions for the wrong reasons, and so, you know, far more people have died than should have done, and are still dying. And I think we owe it to them to make something good happen as a result of this. If we don't learn lessons, if we don't find ways of making the world a better place, if we don't use our skills as transition managers to make the world a better place, then, you know, it's not been worthwhile. So we owe it to them to do that. So it's okay to think that some good comes out of it, I think. Mateusz, you popped up for a little while there. Are you anything you want to share with us, or did you inadvertently turn your camera off? On? Good evening. We can't hear you. I'm not sure. Oh, look at that.
Okay, and now, hello. Good.
I can hear you now.
Evening,
yes.
Yeah, it's not really easy to participate in 100%. I think in this debate, but yeah. So please forgive me. I would go for off in terms of my camera, but yeah, I was trying to follow with your conversation, at least to some extent. And yes, always in that situation like COVID, or now post-COVID, maybe we can say, you know, we have props and cons. Yeah, we have the other sides of coins. Yeah, and for me, for example, as you can see, or you could see just before, it was absolutely amazing time when my family has been growth. That was also really a really fruitful time for me in terms of my personal growth, because I've just graduated Transition Manager Academy, and this is the great, I think, great time to strongly recommend you considering this opportunity, educational opportunity, if you already not. And that was also fruitful time at the end, or basically 1 month ago for me, when I was I became a PMP certified person. So for me, COVID situation and post-COVID situation was a great path to grow in terms of my career path, and at the same time just embrace personal life with my family. But of course, it's not easy like currently. Sometimes you need to be very creative to combine some different things. Like now, my Michelle is listening to what I'm trying to speak, and at the same time admire your faces at the screen. So yeah, that's my thoughts. And maybe last but not least, because the situation is really dynamic with my daughter, and I could leave for a moment. TMA was a really great opportunity for me to change my mind towards agile mindset. Thanks to Mike, thanks to Gosia, thanks to Przemek and other lecturers, and this was a really useful journey in terms of getting PMP certification for me.
And yes, thank you, Mateusz. Your participation was enjoyed immensely. So I think what do we learn from what we've talked about so far? Okay, Gosia mentioned earlier on that one of the things that I bring to TMA is curiosity. You know, my belief as a leader, the best thing that you can be is always curious. Never think that you know the answers. Even if you know the answers, believe that you don't know the answers and carry on asking questions, because that way we get the best out of people. That way we find new ways of doing things. And I hope what you've seen is what I brought to this was to share with you the way in which my reaction to COVID has been to become curious about, okay, this is happening, what can I learn from it? What do I see? How can I make use of those things that I learn? How can I look at the mistakes of others or the success of others, and how can I bring that, in my case, into TMA so that I can increase the learning that I give to others? But if you're working as transition managers, what can you learn from what you've seen and bring into the way you work going forward? The one thing I've said that we have learned is we can no longer say it's impossible, because we now know just how possible things are. So how does that change how we go about things? How does it change the way we're going to be in a work context? How does the fact that we've learned the importance of seeing people as people, and that we can bring work and life closer together, and that when we do it's more beneficial, what can we learn from the fact that we were able to adapt technology? And we delivered an entire TMA year virtually, not in the room, and we did it without any real notice. We just got on and did it because we had to. So what can we learn from that? I'm kind of running out of steam now and things to say, so I'm going to stop asking questions. I don't know, Przemek or Gosia, if you want to offer things up. I hope this has been interesting. I think there are lots of places we could go to, but I appreciate it's very difficult to do it on a call like this, and also at a time when you're really kind of listening and perhaps focusing your thoughts. But Przemek or Gosia, anything else to offer up?
Yeah, I can jump in. I think a lot of the things were already said here, and I was thinking about a personal story I could share here, and something that we could take from it as well. And I have two things. One, as I already mentioned, I was quite fortunate when it comes to previous experiences and mindset, and having opportunity to use the flexibility and freedom as I'd like to in my life. But having said that, the COVID situation changed that for me, at least temporarily at the very beginning, because at one moment in time, I could not travel, and I like to travel, and I could not meet with my friends or family. So while I could do it online, and I was used to doing that online as well, I really like the in-person contact as well. And not being able to go there to have a chat, a meeting, was quite impactful in that sense. But well, we learned how to cope with that, how to move forward. We had the sessions where we met with our family on the specific distance, and actually were able to wave to each other and then have some chat. So we adapted to this situation. But that brings me to another element. So last year was also the year when I got married. And that was happening during the pandemic. That was happening with the quite dynamic changes in our country when it comes from every week. There were different lockdown changes and adaptations, and less people could meet. Different challenges were happening. And what eventually happened is that the day before my wedding, the one day, right, the country went on complete lockdown, right? So as you can imagine, it was not that easy. By complete lockdown, I mean, depending on the situation, some people could meet in church, but could not go anywhere else. You couldn't go to the restaurant. The restaurants were closed. The hotels were closed unless, well, the restaurants in the hotels are closed unless you meet there for the business reasons, and few other scenarios there, right? And while I believe that I'm a very adaptive person, but that event showed me that my wife, as a leader of this exercise, and then myself as well, we are even more adaptive than we thought we are, right? So we were able to change quite a lot of things so that we do not postpone the event. We made it happen. We had close people in the safe scenarios with us. And at the same time, we decided to stream our wedding on the internet for our friends so that they couldn't be there, and they could still join us, and we could postpone the potential party for whenever it would come, right? So what I saw is that we were able to adapt quite a lot. And because of those scenarios changing before the organization, and it started a few months ago, and then week by week, there were changes and changes. We needed to think about so many different scenarios. And then when you think about the transition and the transformation in the organizations, right, that's probably something that you need to think about as well, right? So consider quite a number of scenarios, consider quite a number of responses of the people, and that the pace of change for people will be different, and they will be adapting different. They will have different feelings to adapt to this situation. And then have a scenario for it, how you'll approach it, how you'll help them with that, but at the same time, how you move forward with achieving your goals. Yeah, so it was quite interesting learning for me there.
Okay, thank you, Przemek, for sharing this. And when you were actually, I was attending the online wedding. So about this scenario, it just came to my mind about that's very important. Some of you probably know Zuzanna Skalska. She's the trend analyst, the very visionary. And she joined our PMI conference as well. She was the speaker last year, the virtual conference we had, the Congress. And I really enjoy, I've met her many times, and I really enjoy her speeches and interviews with her. So if you can Google it and find out. And she's saying that the companies, you need to focus, first of all, of course, in when the lockdown, because it's lockdown appeared, yeah, that was the fact, and we couldn't move. So then focus to organize yourself. But then the most important thing is to think about the companies in 5, 10, 15 years. So we can prepare, because we don't know the future. But exactly what Przemek said, how we can prepare. We have a few scenarios, and then we will be ready, because some of scenarios will help us to not even to survive, but also to thrive. yeah, to develop. And one word, I think that's the word of 2020, it's resilience. And it has been, published almost everywhere. PMI on PM Network put resilience as the word of the year. And there are a lot of conferences. And recently I attended, there was 4 days conference by International Project Management Association, IPMA. It was great. They started from from individual level through the team level, and third day was the organization level and society level. And really, and also some of the experience the speaker said made me realize that specifically project management, the guy shared his life experience when he was. I just put the article to the mining rescue, yeah, Chilean mining rescue. So he used to work for such projects. So that was the rescue project. And he realized that wasn't so stressful when he moved to as a strategic leader in transition, transformational project and programs, because when you work for rescue, you are taught how to deal with stress. First of all, that's what he shared. You also the support, the goal you've got, the focus you've got, it's quite clear, and you put a lot of effort to rescue or to help. And working for projects, we've got different. We change the projects. Yeah, it's just the project. It's a temporary endeavor, as PMBOK says. Yeah, so it's temporary, it starts and finish. And our projects are shorter now, so we don't really have time to really build a team, to make relationship with our stakeholders. So because stakeholders have different motivation, different goals as well, different agendas. For us, project and program, and especially running the strategic transition and transformation projects or programs, we really under stress a lot. So it's made me realize how difficult, how challenging it is. That's why, on the other hand, it's very important to build, because resilience it's something you can learn, you can build. And I've seen some other researchers, what 3 competences leaders should learn during next few months. So it's resilience, courage, and how to engage and motivate people, how to keep the motivation and engagement high. So there are 3 areas we should focus a lot. If you are interested, I've just written an article. It's in Polish, unfortunately, in this coming issue of Strefa PMI about these 3 competences, and I'm sharing some practices how to develop them. And with resilience, the first thing it's find out about yourself, self-awareness, find out your values, your beliefs. And then maybe think, reflect. Someone mentioned, Rafał mentioned reflection, reflect and ask yourself, does this belief supports me? Does helps me to grow, to be happy? If not, try to change it. Reframing, and that's another what I've learned from TMA as well, the teaming and reframing for learning. We did great exercise during the TMA session. I like it a lot. I joined the sessions and I like it a lot. I was with cameras, while people do not switch on the cameras. Yeah. So prepare, build psychological safe environment so people can grow, can share, can make mistakes. So it's okay not to know. That's what we teach, Mike specifically. And I learned from Mike as well, because we all learning. It's a kind of journey. TMA, it's for us. Every edition is different because there are different people and we all learning. And I think having such a team, having such a group where we can grow together, even virtually, was more challenging. but we manage it. So we learn a lot. So that's my experience. And about scenarios, have different, it's like with risk management as well. Yeah. Have plan B, C, D, because we don't know, but become more flexible. Learn how to become more flexible. I think I took my time, so maybe someone else, maybe Agnieszka, you want to add something?
I'm afraid, because I won't stop talking as you, Małgorzata.
The floor is yours now, go ahead.
Okay, so I have some questions to you guys, because you are the one that are contributing to knowledge. I'm considering joining this program. And I was wondering, what besides the Mike's knowledge and not bringing another COVID, I hope, to the lectures and to the meetings, what things can you bring to the group that will convince me? Because I learn a lot from the internet. I read a lot of books. I join a lot of meetups, and I would like to. Yeah, I know it's like it would probably sound from me like I was expecting from you like a sales speech, but the thing that will convince me that this is the best idea for me for the next year, to join a group and spend each, I don't know, one weekend a month in Warsaw. What I can expect from this?
That's a really good question.
Can I add some comments to this? Hi, it's Monica.
Of course.
Hi. So I just want to share, I was a participant of the first TMA, and I don't know, Mike, Gosia, Przemek, if you recognize this. Funny picture, not a very good one. But,
yes, I think so, yes.
Yeah, we've got this,
exactly. So
your thesis, yeah? I love it a lot.
So that is actually what I took out, well, a big part of what I took out. It's a summary of all the things that we've been told and we've been talking about and we've been asked to think about. Because I like learning as well. I like reading, and I do have interest in all sorts of things. So if you looked at my library of books, I will read about dinosaurs, I will read scientific books, history, crime, all sorts of things, interests, but what I got from, and that's what we do. If we're careful, we will see opportunity to learn things, or we will say, oh, that's an interesting fact, and then you forget it. What I've actually learned, and that's shows that I've got it by my desk all the time. It keeps reminding me to come back to those things. So all the things that guys were saying today, about mindfulness, about staying curious, or that's actually, don't know if you can see, but it's there. Stay curious. And that's something that I just, whenever I'm frustrated or I come across a problem, I look at it, because it helps me sort things out, and it helps me put things in perspective. Again, perhaps coming back to the COVID topic, but I think what I've learned is exactly to stop for a minute and to think about, how people see things, how people see the situation, the problem, because sometimes I thought, oh, it's easy for me, why can't others do it the same way, or look at it the same way? But no, everyone has their own way of thinking, or their own map of the world, and things make sense differently to them. So there are loads of small things that really caught my attention during the studies, but those things I actually managed to put in writing, and I keep coming back to it, and I find it really useful also in my everyday life. So it's not just about how to cope with work, how to work with people, but it helps in everyday life as well.
Thank you. Now it looks like it was staged. I was asking the question, Monica jumped in. Really great job, guys.
Yeah.
How did you know I was going to ask the question?
Can I just say, Monica, you know, it's...
Also, I didn't plan to join because I didn't have that much time, but I thought, oh, I'll see if you're still there.
I'm glad you did.
I was surprised. I'm very happy. Yeah, thank you.
You can tell I'm not dressed up even.
Yeah.
You look great. You look great.
Monica, that was wonderful. Thank you. And yes, again, everyone else, one of the things that's going to happen when you come and join us is that at some point in the future, somebody that you've interacted with is going to do what Monica just did for us and for me. Okay, so I can't tell you, this was what, first year, so four years ago, whatever it was. Okay, to know that somebody has taken the learning that we shared and things that we said that were, I share stuff with you that's important to me. It matters to me. I believe in it. So to have somebody come back all this time later and say, actually, some of what you said is shaping my life. I go back to it time and time again. That's just wonderful feedback. I feel absolutely great now. And at some point in the future, if you come and join us, you're going to be feeling the same as well, because somebody you influence, somebody you manage, somebody you lead, or somebody you just have a chance conversation with is going to say to you, hey, Nick, do you remember that thing you said to me 5 years ago? I've never forgotten that. So that's what you're going to get. Okay. Everything that I'm going to tell you on leadership, on leader as coach, on building teams, on communication, all of those things you can get on the internet, because that's where I don't get it all. You know, I've done courses, I've worked, I've gathered experience. I get lots of stuff from the internet. I still read lots, and I try and share with people on the course the things that. So my course is constantly changing as I learn new things. But you can get it all as well, because you can do the same thing I do. You can go to the internet, you can read books. Okay, what you will get from certainly my sessions is that you will find out about yourself. I'll go back to what I said earlier on the call. Okay, I'm not going to let you off the hook, because I know what you're capable of, even if you don't know it yourself. And that's the feedback I get from others who've been on the course, you know, and you heard it from some of the others earlier on. It's about finding out about yourself. That's all I can offer. I hope it's enough. I would love to spend time working with you.
And I can add more, because it's not only us, it's the group, the people in the group sharing. We just create the space for sharing experience, for interact, for thinking. Yeah, Mike asked a lot of questions, so I think, and we really focus on we share the same values, so it's very important. And we many times we heard the feedback that it's something, for me it's a question why no one replicated it. Because I remember from other universities, they look at our folder and they could do it, but no one has replicated, because you cannot really replicate people. So we are different, but we share the same values here as lecturers, but also people contributing, the participants, students contributing. So we're creating something exciting. It's really, and I'm so surprised all the time when we've got the defenses, and the defenses it's just a story about yourself. So you share what you've learned. So I'm so surprised how much people learn, how much they used. I cannot even imagine this. For me, the most fascinating is the transition of leaders themselves, not only the how well they manage to deliver the projects, but also how they change and people, and how they influence their teams. That's why I like this feedback that transition manager came in, he was supposed to open new doors, because the student wanted to change the job, but open my eyes. So I realized I can change, and people can, and the environment can change. So it's not only us, it's the space we create and the people, we make them feel safe so they can contribute. So I think that's, and we really use the top, so we are bringing to Poland, for example, like teaming. I said, Mike, you brought it, and now we can hear from other leadership courses, they bring teaming. But there was you, Eddie Obenk's model. That's something different. Even the Bridges model, it's not very popular. I don't know if you know the Bridges model, the transition model. We know other models like Kotler and different change models, but this is because it's about people. Transition is the psychological orientation in people's mind. So it's not only the leadership, the change leadership, it's not only the strategic planning. The most important is where people are, finding out where people are in the transition and help them to move to the new reality.
So I wanted to jump in here. So I've got two things. So one is, in general, one of additional strength in principle of this course, I think, is that we do have quite a large range of people from different backgrounds that are supporting students with their knowledge, right? And some of them will work as Mike, being coach, asking questions, not letting from the hook. Some others will work in the workshop way, as Gosia mentioned, and bringing new ideas and so on. Some others will do a similar story, but then they may go into the mentoring mode, right? Some will have a lot of experience in specific areas of life and experience in working on specific projects that they are willing to share, and you would actually have time to chat with them. And if you would be willing to bring your problem, right, because that's on your side, right, then the discussion of the team as the whole, all the students with a lot of experience, that's probably as everywhere else, and those lecturers could help you solve some of the issues there. So that's the second thing. But one of the super important things here, if not the most important, is what are you looking for, right? Because we started saying what you could find, but at the end of the day is what are you looking for? And then we could say whether it could be there or it could not be there and so on. So these are some of the modules that we could have there, or some of the approaches that we could have, right? And then you need to decide what you're looking for, and then we may help you with that.
I was just wondering who you are. I looked through the program before this meeting, and I said, okay, and I knew Gosia, and I have never met Mike, and I just read your LinkedIn post, Przemek. So this was my way of getting to know the people I was preparing myself to spend the next year with. So thank you for answering. It's really nice that I could have this opportunity to ask the question, and you answered me. I'm really glad. Now I feel more confident about where I'm going to spend my next months, because I'm just trying to decide between two different programs, and now I think I'm making my mind.
That was a great question. Thank you very much. I think it might help to answer the next one. We've got a question on Zoom. So it's from Kaduna. I'm from Nigeria and planning to take this program, and will like to know how it will add to my skill set as a PMP holder with an MBA Finance and Investment and a certificate in Global Health Project Management from University of Washington. Also have done courses in monitoring and evaluation. So this course done in University Poland. So what value is the course bringing to me? So probably that's a good question, Przemek. Maybe what are you looking for? So maybe you can add what really are you looking for, and we can answer if you can really.
Yeah. So that's question to Kaduna, right? About what you're looking for. At the same time, I think that was a question whether it's at the university in Poland. Yes, formally it's at the University of Poland. So if there would be a live meetings, they would be happening in Poland. Those that will be hybrid or those that will be remote, obviously can be done from any part of the world. And assuming you feel confident with all of your trainings and certifications, knowledge and skills in project management, that's what we would probably doing in this particular area, right? We'll be chatting a little bit more about either program or portfolio management or strategic approach. So that could add a little bit on to your knowledge. And at the same time, you could probably hear about a lot of different experiences of other team members or students that would have a different experience. So as you can imagine, every project is different, and you probably experience that, right? So sharing this knowledge of different projects and how we approach and solve problems around those, even if the methodology or the concepts in the approach, tool set, standard, or however we approach it is very similar, is a learning thing for all of us. So I suppose that could be value there as well. But then a lot of things that Gosia and Mike were talking about, and you could hear from different students when it comes to finding those small things that help you reflect about how you're moving forward, ask the right question, think how you're leading the team or chatting with the team or working with the team. That could be probably a lot of additional value. Obviously, that really depends where you are at your journey. So it all comes to the question what you're looking for and where you think you would like to develop further.
Yeah, if I can just add to that, I've said it several times already on this call. Okay, so I'm curious. So I would be curious about you, Kaduna, as to what makes you who you are and how you go about doing what you do and influencing others. Now, we're not just going to teach you stuff. Okay, there is some of that, obviously. And looking at the courses that you've already done, I suspect you've learned a lot of stuff already. So there's a good chance that much of what we're going to be covering off, you've already seen. But as Shemek says, what we're trying to do is we'll certainly teach you some things, but we will ask you questions. We're trying to get you to think in a different way. We're trying to engage your curiosity, and we're trying to get you to see the world from different perspectives. And if you can learn to do that as a transition program manager, that gives you a much greater flexibility in how you deal with the challenges you're going to face. Okay, one of the things that we teach is, there are always different ways of seeing things, reframing. Okay, if you're presented with a problem that's too hard to solve, find a different problem and then solve that. So we will, what you will get from us is challenging to your own thinking. You'll be invited to think about things in different ways and maybe learn things for yourself that way. You'll be invited to think about who you are and how you work and what makes you who you are and how that affects the way you work with others. We'll invite you to be curious and we'll invite you to challenge us. It gives me a lot of pleasure when the students come in and they ask me questions and I don't have the answers, because that's when I start to learn as well, and we learn together. Okay. There's a lot of knowledge out there. I know kind of that much of it, okay, but we'll explore it together. And the final thing, which you say in your question, is this course is done in the university in Poland. Yes, hopefully it is. In normal times it is, and I'm hoping we get back there soon. Much of the learning that happens isn't from Shemek or Gosia or myself or the others to the students. It's between the students. That's what they tell us. The relationships that you build and the sharing of experience and knowledge and the sharing of your beliefs that this is a good thing to be doing, it's really important. So if you were to come and join us, I think that's beyond all the stuff that you've learnt on other courses. You will get insight into yourself and maybe a new way of looking at the world.
And I would add the trend is why in learning it's called cohort learning. Yeah, so I learn every edition. I learn a lot myself. Yeah, so I'm so happy to be a part of it, because I really learn new stuff, new things, and new perspectives as well. So. Kasia, maybe it's a question to you, because we don't know, we have we will have some courses online virtually. So for sure, the virtual and multicultural team module will start online. Probably facilitation, maybe some more. But if we have this possibility. And most of the session will be in Poland, in Warsaw. Maybe Kasia, you want to add something?
No, maybe there are some questions from the participants.
Okay, that's the question, because the course is done in Warsaw, yeah, and the question is because this course done in University Poland, yeah, so yeah, it's done in Warsaw. Last edition we did, we had first session, so there was both, yeah, you could come to the university, but you can do virtually as well. Mike was online. But then the rest we did virtual. Yeah? But the plan is to do it like classroom. Most of them will be classroom courses in Poland, in Warsaw. Yeah, I'm just. That's a question for you, Kasia. I'm looking for visibility and career advancements. What are the visa process and support you give to be in Poland?
So actually the student should take care individually of the whole process with the visa.
Okay, so the university will not support it.
It's not on our side, it's on the side of the student.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I will not need any visa to get from Gdańsk to Warsaw. Nothing will change.
Never know. You never know.
I never know. Yeah, that's why my hopes are.
Yeah, you might need a permit to get here.
Well,
okay. Any questions on Facebook?
No, unfortunately, I cannot see any questions.
So, guys, would you like to add anything to summarize? Maybe to summarize, and then we can stay for like 15 minutes just on Zoom. We can finish the streaming and stay if people want to ask on Zoom questions. So maybe we can summarize, Mike. You are on mute. That's the most popular sentence you say.
I know it wasn't. It wouldn't let me come off mute for some reason. Summarize. It's been well. Okay. Well, what have I learned? In thinking about what I wanted to say to you, and what did I want to tell you about that would make you want to come and join us? It made me kind of reflect back on what I've learned from the process. We started this by looking at COVID. Why did I do that? Two reasons. One is it's the best example I know of a massive disruptive change to society, to cultures, to companies. So if we can't look at that and learn lessons, then we might as well give up and go home now. Okay, so I wanted to put the thought out there that, you know, while stuff happens to you in life, everything that happens to you is a learning opportunity. COVID kind of hit us over the head because it was so big and so obvious, but you wouldn't believe the number of people I've spoken to who've just experienced it and gone through it and not sat back and thought, well, what can I learn from this, and what can I take from this, and how can I make this a worthwhile experience? So I would encourage you to do that, whether you join us or not. I would encourage you to think about everything that happens to your life as an opportunity for learning and an opportunity for growth. We've talked about what it's like to be with us. We've talked a little bit about the structure of the course. We've talked about the content. You've seen a bit of who we are. You'll see that Gosia and myself and Shemek are three very different characters, but I think when we get together, we're a bit like the Avengers. Okay, you know, we fill in for each other's weaknesses and we build on each other's strengths. We don't have a symbol and we don't wear fancy costumes yet, but I'm sure we could probably do that if you wanted to. And above all else, I think we have a sense of fun as well. And there's a lot of laughter and a lot of smiling around. You know, it's learning is a serious business. Saving the world is a serious business, and we're going to go out there and save the world, all of us. But if we can't have a laugh along the way while we're doing it, then it's probably not worth doing. So expect some humour as well. I've got nothing more to say. So, and Gosia, unless you or Shemek, you want to add to that. What I would say is that thank you for your questions. and you've challenged us, and we like being challenged. I hope we've shown you that we can respond and rise to the challenge in a good way.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. There are some more questions, more certificates. What kind of certificate? This is diploma because it's postgraduate study, so you will get the diploma from university. And also additionally, you will get certificates with PDUs, personal development unit. So if you are PMP, for example, certified, you can use these points. You need 60 PGUs for 3 months. Yes, so that's the certification. The language is English of the course, and the program it's a classroom course, so at university. With some sessions online, that's what we know already. If we are allowed, of course. If you are not allowed, there might be the full program online, as we did for last edition. So that's the cost. I don't remember the cost. Maybe Kasia, you remember the cost of the course? And it's it's 9 months. You unmute.
The cost is around 9,000, as far as I remember.
9,200, I think, if nothing has changed.
Correct.
Yeah. Zloty, Polish zloty. Yeah. So that's no scholarship because this is postgraduate studies. So no scholarship. Anyone else who would like to summarize or add something? We can still, on Zoom, people, we can still stay and have a chat. I would like to. So, okay, if not, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us for this almost 2 hours, for asking questions, and participants, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you, to have this kind of discussion, very exciting. And see you at TMA 5, maybe, hopefully. We've got a group and we can start another journey and learn together.
Thank you, everyone. Great to see some familiar faces again, and to see some new faces as well.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Luck, guys.